Captain Jake Morrison floated in the observation deck of the exploration ship Aurora's Dream, watching the alien world grow larger on the view screen. Kepler 442b looked like a dead rock from space, but the scans showed something interesting beneath its dusty surface. Ruins, big ones. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings from the surface," called out Marcus Webb from his station. The young linguist had joined the crew 6 months ago, fresh from the academy with the highest marks in xenolinguistics anyone had ever seen. "The structures down there are huge. Much bigger than we thought." Jake nodded and pressed the come button. "Lisa, you seeing this?" Dr. Lisa Carter's voice crackled through the speakers from the science lab. "Oh, I'm seeing it all right. Jake, these aren't just ruins. This is an entire city, maybe several cities. The civilization that built this was advanced, very advanced." Tony Garcia, the ship's security chief, looked up from his tactical display. "Any signs of life? Automated defenses?" "I don't like going into unknown situations blind." "Nothing active," Lisa replied. "Whatever happened here, it happened a long time ago. I'm reading carbon dating estimates of around 50,000 years. This place has been dead for longer than humans have had written language." Jake made his decision. "Prep the shuttle. Full expedition team. Tony, standard security protocols. Lisa, bring everything you need for a major dig. Marcus, pack your translation equipment." 2 hours later, their shuttle broke through the thin atmosphere and landed near the largest structure complex. The gravity was lighter than Earth, making their steps feel bouncy as they walked toward the ruins. "Look at the size of these buildings," Marcus whispered, staring up at towering structures that disappeared into the dusty sky. Who were these people? Lisa was already scanning with her equipment. Initial readings suggest they called themselves the Zethkari. Advanced metallurgy, complex architecture, and they definitely had space travel. But something made them abandon this place in a hurry. They entered the largest building through what appeared to be a main entrance. Inside, the walls were covered with symbols and writings in a script none of them recognized. Marcus immediately began taking pictures and running them through his translation programs. "This is incredible," he said, holding up his scanner. "The language is completely unique, but there are patterns here. Mathematical relationships. Give me a few hours, and I might be able to crack the basics." Tony kept watch while Jake and Lisa explored deeper into the structure. They found what looked like a central chamber with a raised platform in the middle. On the platform sat a collection of stone tablets, perfectly preserved despite their age. "Jake, look at this," Lisa called out, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. "These tablets aren't made from local stone. The mineral composition is completely different. They brought these from somewhere else." Marcus joined them, his equipment beeping steadily as it analyzed the symbols. "I'm getting partial translations. It's rough, but some of these words are starting to make sense." "What do they say?" Jake asked. Marcus frowned at his display. "It's warning language, danger words, fear concepts, and something about ... He looked up with confusion in his eyes. "Something about the third planet of Sol?" "Sol?" Lisa said. "That's Earth's star." "They're talking about Earth?" "That can't be right," Tony said, moving closer to look at the tablets. How would an alien civilization 50,000 years ago know about Earth? Humans weren't even advanced enough to send radio signals back then. Marcus continued working with his translation program. The software was getting better at understanding the language patterns with each new symbol it analyzed. After another hour, he had enough to attempt a full translation of the first tablet. His face went pale as he read the results. "What is it?" Jake asked. Marcus cleared his throat and read from his display. "Beware the third planet of the star Sol. Those who dwell there guard something far worse than themselves. Do not approach. do not investigate, do not make contact. They know not what they protect, but their ignorance is their strength. The chamber fell silent, except for the soft humming of their equipment. That has to be a mistranslation, Lisa said. Run it again. Marcus ran the translation 3 more times, adjusting parameters and checking the language database. Each time, the message came out the same. There's more, he said quietly. Let me try the second tablet. This time, the translation came faster. We observed them from afar. The species of the third planet possesses an unusual trait. They refuse to surrender even when defeat is certain. This quality makes them perfect guardians, though they do not. No, they guard anything at all. Tony stepped back from the tablets. This is impossible. 50,000 years ago, humans were barely using stone tools. How could aliens be watching Earth and writing about humans like this? Jake looked around the chamber and noticed something else. There were more tablets scattered around the room, dozens of them. Marcus, check those other tablets. See if they say the same thing. For the next 3 hours, Marcus translated tablet after tablet. Each one contained the same basic message with small variations. All warned about Earth. All mentioned that humans were guarding something. All said that whatever humans were protecting was worse than humanity itself. Captain, Lisa said, her voice shaking slightly, I'm finding similar tablets in other parts of the complex. Different rooms, different buildings. It's like they wanted to make sure this message survived no matter what happened to them. But what were they so afraid of? Tony asked. And what are humans supposedly guarding? Marcus looked up from his work on the latest tablet. According to this one, they tried to find out. It says they sent an expedition to observe Earth more closely. The expedition never returned. Jake felt a chill run down his spine despite the warm air in the chamber. How many tablets are there total? Lisa checked her scanner readings. I count at least 200 in this building alone, and there are dozens of other buildings in this complex. All with the same message? Jake asked. All with the same message, she confirmed. As the team continued their work, they found more disturbing details. The Zethkari had been a spacefaring civilization with colonies on 17 different worlds. They had advanced technology and had made contact with dozens of other alien species. But something about Earth had terrified them so much that they had abandoned their entire civilization and fled to the far edges of the galaxy. The final tablet, Marcus translated that day, contained one last chilling detail. We go now to the void between stars, where even the great darkness cannot reach us. But we leave this warning for those who come after. The guardians of the third planet must never know what they guard. Their innocence is the lock. Their awareness would be the key. As night fell on the alien world, the team made camp inside. The ruins. None of them slept well, and all of them had the same dream of something vast and hungry stirring in the darkness beneath Earth. 3 weeks after returning from Kepler 442b, Dr. Lisa Carter stood before the Galactic Archaeological Council on Station Unity Prime. The massive meeting hall was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Humans sat next to the tall, graceful Etherians. The insectoid Vrektheri clicked their mandibles in quiet conversation. The crystalline luminals hummed softly, their bodies glowing with different colors as they communicated. Lisa took a deep breath and activated the holographic display. Images of the Zethkari tablets appeared in the air above the assembly. What we found on Kepler 442b changes everything we thought we knew about galactic history, she began. The Zethkari civilization left warnings about Earth. Specific warnings. They feared humans not because we were dangerous, but because we guard something they considered far worse. A Vrekthari named Zeet Eksh raised one of his 4 arms. His translator device spoke in a mechanical voice. Dr. Carter, with respect, One set of tablets from one dead civilization proves nothing. Perhaps the Zethkari were simply paranoid or mistaken. Lisa nodded. That's exactly what I thought. Which is why I'm requesting a joint expedition to investigate other archaeological sites. If this is just Zethkari paranoia, we'll find nothing. But if other civilizations left similar warnings, she let the sentence hang in the air. The various species began talking among themselves in their different languages and communication methods. An Etherian council member named Whisper of Wings stood up. Her people communicated through subtle changes in their glowing skin patterns, but she used a vocal translator for the mixed assembly. The council approves this investigation. We will provide 3 ships and expert teams from multiple species. 2 months later, Lisa found herself aboard the research vessel Harmony alongside an unusual crew. Captain Jake Morrison had volunteered to lead the human contingent. Zeek represented the Vrukhthari, despite his earlier skepticism. The luminal historian Bright Song of Memory hummed constantly, a sign of deep concentration in her species. Their first stop was Vega Prime, home to the ruins of the hegemony of Kithara. The Kith had vanished 200,000 years ago, leaving behind cities that defied understanding. The buildings seemed to grow from the ground like crystals, all angles and impossible curves. Marcus Webb, who had joined the expedition as chief linguist, worked frantically to decode the Kith writing system. Unlike the stone tablets of the Zethkari, the Kith had carved their messages directly into the crystalline walls of their cities. Got it, Marcus said after 6 hours of work. He looked tired and confused. The messages. It's almost identical to what we found on Kepler 442b. He read from his translation device. Warning to all who travel the void. The third world of the yellow star harbors guardians of the deep darkness. They know not what they protect. Let none disturb their vigil. Zeke's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation in his species. Impossible. The Kith civilization existed 150,000 years before the Zethkari. How could they leave the same warning? Bright Song of Memory's crystalline. Body shifted from blue to deep purple. In her species, this indicated profound concern. Perhaps we should investigate further before drawing conclusions. Their next stop was Arion Prime, where the floating cities of an ancient civilization hung motionless in the thin atmosphere. The Aryans had built their entire civilization in the sky, creating magnificent structures that floated using technology. No one understood. The floating cities were dead now, their power sources long since failed. But the buildings were intact, and the walls told the same story. Beware the guardians of Sol 3. Marcus translated from Arion's script. They stand watch over that which must never wake. Their innocence is the seal that binds the hungry void. Lisa felt a chill run through her. 3 civilizations, separated by hundreds of thousands of years, all leaving warnings about Earth, all describing humans as guardians of something terrible. But it was Tony Garcia who noticed the first disturbing side effect of their investigation. The security chief had been monitoring the crew's behavior and health since they started visiting the ruins. Captain, he said privately to Jake during their 3rd week of investigation, we have a problem. The alien crew members are having nightmares. Bad ones. Jake frowned. What kind of nightmares? According to their reports, they're all dreaming about the same thing. Darkness. Something vast and hungry pressing against barriers they can't see. And all the dreams feature Earth somehow. Jake looked out at the stars through the ship's viewport. Earth was thousands of light years away. But somehow these ancient ruins were affecting alien minds with visions of his home planet. What about? The human crew members? Jake asked. That's the strange part, Tony replied. The humans aren't having the nightmares. We're sleeping fine. It's only affecting the aliens. Over the following weeks, they visited 4 more archaeological sites. The ruins of the spiral builders on Tau Ceti 4, the underground complexes of the stone. Singers on Wolf 359b. Each dead civilization had left the same warning about Earth. Each site affected the alien crew members more severely. Zeke H had stopped eating properly. His normally green carapace was turning a sickly yellow color. "The dreams are getting worse," he told Lisa during one of their scientific briefings. "Every night, I see Earth surrounded by something dark and terrible. And I see humans standing guard without knowing they're guards." Bright Song of Memory's crystalline form had dimmed significantly. Luminals normally glowed bright white when healthy, but she had faded to a pale gray. "My people believe dreams are messages from the universe," she hummed weakly. "These dreams feel like warnings." But warnings about what? Marcus had been working around the clock, comparing the languages and messages from all the sites they'd visited. Despite being separated by hundreds of thousands of years and existing on opposite sides of the galaxy, every dead civilization had left remarkably similar warnings. "There's something else," Marcus said during their final briefing before returning to Unity Prime. "I've been analyzing the linguistic patterns. The warnings all use specific words that translate to concepts like seal, lock, barrier, and guard duty, but they also use words that don't translate well. Words that seem to describe something outside normal reality." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "I mean, these civilizations weren't just afraid of humans. They were afraid of something humans were keeping locked away, something that exists outside normal space and time." As they prepared to return to Unity Prime with their findings, the nightmares affecting the alien crew members reached a peak. Zeke collapsed during his duty shift, muttering about the hungry void beneath the blue world. Bright Song of Memories. Glow had become so dim that other luminals could barely sense her presence, but the human crew members remained unaffected. They slept peacefully while their alien colleagues suffered through visions of cosmic horror centered on Earth. Dr. Lisa Carter spent the journey home staring at the data they'd collected. 7 dead civilizations spanning millions of years of galactic history, all leaving the same warning about her home planet, all describing humans as unknowing guardians of something worse than themselves. The question that kept her awake wasn't what the aliens had been afraid of. The question was why humans couldn't feel whatever was making their alien colleagues so terrified, and whether that was a blessing or a curse. 6 months after their return to Unity Prime, Dr. Lisa Carter received an urgent message that changed everything. A deep space survey team had discovered something on Proxima Centauri b, the closest planet to Earth's solar system. The planet showed signs of massive artificial structures buried beneath its surface. Captain Jake Morrison assembled his team once again. This time, they traveled in a larger ship called the Endeavor, accompanied by the best alien archaeologists willing to risk another expedition. Zeke had recovered somewhat from his previous nightmares, though he still looked pale and nervous. Bright Song of Memory had regained some of her glow, but she hummed in worried tones. "If there's something on Proxima b, it's been waiting right next door to Earth this whole time," Marcus said as they approached the planet. "That can't be a coincidence." Tony Garcia monitored the ship's sensors carefully. "I'm reading massive energy signatures underground. Whatever's down there, it's still active after who knows how long." The planet's surface looked barren and rocky, but their scans revealed a complex of tunnels and chambers that stretched deep into the planet's core. The structures were enormous, far larger than anything they had seen on the other dead worlds. They landed near what appeared to be an entrance, though it was sealed by some kind of energy barrier. As they approached, the barrier flickered and disappeared, as if recognizing their presence. "That's not ominous at all," Tony muttered, checking his weapons for the 3rd time. Inside, they found corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The walls were covered with symbols that hurt to look at directly, as if they contained too much information for normal minds to process. Marcus had to work in short sessions, taking breaks every few minutes to avoid headaches. "The writing is different from anything we've seen," he reported. "More complex. These symbols contain multiple layers of meaning. It's like each one is a complete thought compressed into a single character." They followed the main corridor for nearly an hour before reaching a vast central chamber. In the center stood a pillar made of some unknown material that seemed to absorb light. Surrounding the pillar were thousands of crystalline tablets, each one glowing with soft inner light. "My God," Lisa whispered, "this isn't just a ruin. It's a library." Bright Song of Memory approached one of the tablets, her crystalline form resonating with its energy. "These are memory crystals," she said. "My people make similar devices, but nothing this advanced. These contain entire civilizations' worth of knowledge." Marcus connected his translation equipment to the nearest tablet. Immediately, information began flowing across his screens, faster than he could read. Languages, histories, scientific discoveries, warnings, and records from countless species across millions of years. "This is incredible," he said. "These tablets contain records from a civilization that called itself the Watchers. They observed the galaxy for over 10 million years before they disappeared." As Marcus worked to understand the Watcher language, the rest of the team explored the chamber. They found star maps showing the locations of thousands of dead civilizations. They found records of species that had thrived and vanished long before any current galactic civilization had evolved, but it was the central pillar that held the most important information. "I think I can access the main database," Marcus said after hours of work, "but the information is so dense, so complex. It's like trying to drink from a waterfall." He activated the pillar's interface, and suddenly the chamber filled with holographic displays. Images of stars, planets, and strange creatures appeared in the air around them. But dominating everything was a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with one system highlighted in pulsing red light: Earth's solar system. "The Watchers were obsessed with Earth," Marcus said, reading from the flowing text. "According to their records, they established this outpost specifically to monitor our solar system." Lisa approached the central display, studying the detailed information about Earth. What were they watching for? Marcus continued translating, his face growing pale as he read. They were watching for dimensional breaks. "According to this, Earth sits on what they call a reality fracture, a place where the barriers between dimensions are naturally weak." Zeke's mandibles clicked rapidly. "What kind of dimensions?" "Dimensions where different laws of physics apply," Marcus read. "Dimensions where hostile entities exist. The Watchers detected something they called the void hunger, something that lives in the spaces between realities and constantly tries to break through into our dimension." The holographic display changed, showing Earth surrounded by what looked like cracks in space itself. The cracks pulsed with dark energy, and something vast and terrible seemed to press against them from the other side. "Every 100,000 years, the barriers weaken," Marcus continued. "When that happens, the void hunger nearly breaks through. But something always stops it, something on Earth." Tony moved closer to the display. "What stops it?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, reading the complex Watcher texts. "Humans, or rather, the consciousness of humans. According to the Watchers, human minds have a unique property. They refuse to accept defeat, even when facing impossible odds. This stubborn determination somehow reinforces reality itself." "That's impossible," Zeke said. "How can willpower affect dimensional barriers?" "The Watchers studied this for millions of years," Marcus replied. "They believe that consciousness and reality are connected in ways we don't understand. Most species, when faced with cosmic-level threats, either flee or surrender. But humans do something different. They fight back, even when they don't understand what they're fighting. Bright song of memories glow had dimmed again. Are you saying humans are unconsciously holding back some kind of interdimensional monster? Not just holding it back, Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper. According to the Watchers, human consciousness actually strengthens the barriers. Every time humans face adversity and refuse to give up, they reinforce the walls between dimensions. The process is completely unconscious. Humans don't know they're doing it. The display showed more images now, scenes of human history. Wars, disasters, struggles, and triumphs. Each moment of human determination seemed to create ripples in the dimensional fabric around Earth. The Watchers observed other species that lived on dimensional weak points. Marcus continued reading. Every single one eventually learned the truth about what they were protecting, and every single one fled or went extinct within a few thousand years. The knowledge itself weakened their resolve. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. So the ancient civilizations that left warnings about Earth, they discovered the truth and couldn't handle the responsibility. Marcus finished. The Watchers believed that human ignorance was the key to their effectiveness. As long as humans didn't know they were guardians, they would continue to be perfect guardians. The final section of the Watcher records was the most disturbing. It showed projections of what would happen if the barriers ever failed completely. The void hunger would pour into normal reality, consuming entire galaxies, before spreading to other dimensional layers. The Watchers tried to create artificial barriers on other worlds, Marcus read. They tried to recruit other species as backup guardians. Every attempt failed. Something about human psychology is unique. The combination of stubbornness, adaptability, and refusal to surrender makes humans the only species capable of unconsciously maintaining dimensional integrity. As they prepared to leave the Watcher outpost, each team member was lost in their own thoughts. They had discovered humanity's greatest secret and greatest burden. Earth wasn't just another planet. It was the lock on a cosmic prison, and humans were the unwitting keys that kept it sealed shut. But now they knew the truth. And according to the Watchers, knowledge of the truth was the one thing that could destroy humanity's ability to serve as guardians. The question was, what would they do with this knowledge? The return journey to Earth felt different this time. Dr. Lisa Carter sat in her quarters aboard the Endeavour, staring at the classified report she had to deliver to the Global Scientific Council. The weight of what they had discovered pressed down on her like a physical thing. Captain Jake Morrison found her there 3 days before they reached Earth orbit. "You've been avoiding the crew meetings," he said, settling into the chair across from her desk. "I've been thinking," Lisa replied, "about what we tell them, about what we tell anyone." Jake nodded. He had been struggling with the same questions. The Watchers' records were clear. Knowledge of the truth weakens humanity's ability to guard the barriers. But we can't just pretend we never found this information, can't we? Lisa asked. Maybe ignorance really is better. Maybe we should destroy the records and never speak of this again. Before Jake could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Tony Garcia's voice came over the comm system. "Captain, to the bridge. We have a problem." On the bridge, the crew gathered around the main display screen. It showed Earth floating in space ahead of them, but something was wrong. Strange distortions flickered around the planet, like heat waves in air. "What are we looking at?" Jake asked. Tony pointed to his sensor readings. "Energy fluctuations around Earth. They started about an hour ago, and they're getting stronger. I've never seen anything like it." Marcus was already at his station, monitoring communications from Earth. "I'm picking up reports from the surface. Equipment failures worldwide, electronic systems glitching, and people are reporting strange dreams." Lisa felt her stomach drop. What kind of dreams? The same kind our alien crew members had, Marcus replied grimly. Dreams about darkness, about something pressing against barriers. Zeek, who had been quiet during most of the return journey, suddenly spoke up. It's starting. Our discovery has created a crack in the system. The Void Hunger can sense that humans are becoming aware. They established communication with Earth's Global Scientific Council within the hour. Director Helen Brooks appeared on the main screen, her face tight with worry. Behind her, Admiral Pete Collins looked equally concerned. Dr. Carter, Director Brooks said, we need your team down here immediately. Something is happening worldwide, and we think it's connected to your expedition. The shuttle ride to Earth's surface was rough. The dimensional distortions were affecting normal space, creating pockets of turbulence that shouldn't exist. As they descended through the atmosphere, Lisa could see the effects spreading across the planet below Dot in major cities. Lights flickered in patterns that hurt to look at. The oceans moved in ways that defied normal currents. Even the clouds seemed to form shapes that suggested vast, hungry things reaching down from the sky. The Global Scientific Council met in an underground facility in Geneva. Director Brooks led them into a secure briefing room where the world's top scientists and military leaders waited. Before you begin your report, Director Brooks said, you need to know what's been happening. 3 days ago, people worldwide began experiencing identical nightmares. Yesterday, our deep space monitoring stations detected gravitational anomalies centered on Earth. This morning, our physicists confirmed something impossible. Admiral Collins activated a holographic display. The fundamental constants of physics are fluctuating in a sphere around Earth. Gravity, electromagnetic force, even the speed of light are becoming unstable in localized areas. Lisa exchanged glances with Jake. It's exactly what the Watcher records predicted. Our knowledge is weakening. The barriers. She delivered their full report, explaining everything they had discovered about humanity's role as dimensional guardians. The room grew quieter with each revelation. When she finished, the silence stretched for nearly a minute. So you're telling U.S., Director Brooks said finally, that humanity has been unconsciously protecting the galaxy from interdimensional monsters. And now that we know about it, we might lose the ability to do so. That's exactly what we're telling you, Jake replied. Admiral Collins leaned forward. What are our options? According to the Watcher records, every other species that discovered this truth either fled their home world or went extinct within. A few thousand years, Marcus said. The knowledge itself corrupts the unconscious process that maintains the barriers. But even as they spoke, reports were coming in from around the world. On Mars, researcher Ben Walsh had discovered something strange. The terraforming equipment that humans had installed over the past century had been unconsciously modified by the engineers who built it. The modifications create geometric patterns, Ben reported via video link from Mars. Patterns that match the protective symbols we found in the ancient ruins. The engineers didn't plan this. They just felt compelled to make these changes during construction. Similar reports came from the asteroid mining stations, the lunar colonies, and the orbital habitats. Everywhere humans had built something, they had unconsciously incorporated protective elements that strengthened the dimensional barriers. It's not just Earth, Lisa realized. Humans are extending the protected zone throughout the solar system. Our expansion into space is actually expanding the barriers. But the knowledge was having its effect. Personnel on the Mars colony reported, feeling weak and disconnected. The miners in the asteroid belt complained of nightmares and equipment failures. For the first time in human history, people throughout the solar system were experiencing the cosmic dread that had driven alien species to extinction. Dr. Sarah Kim, Earth's leading expert on consciousness research, raised a troubling question. If human awareness weakens the barriers, how do we function as a species? We can't just forget what we've learned. Maybe we don't have to, said Dr. Robert Chun, a physicist who had been studying the gravitational anomalies. The Watchers assumed that knowledge would make humans weak like other species. But humans are different. We've faced existential threats before and found ways to cope. Director Brooks made a difficult decision. We're going to tell people. Not everyone, not all at once, but we're going to slowly reveal the truth to key personnel worldwide. We'll monitor the effects and see if humans can consciously take on the guardian role. The first test came within days. A group of volunteers at the International Space Station were briefed on humanity's guardian role. Instead of experiencing the despair that had affected alien species, the astronauts responded with determination. So we're the galaxy's security guards? Asked Commander Amy Rodriguez. Fine, we've had worse jobs. But the real test came when the barriers experienced their first major fluctuation. Over the Pacific Ocean, reality itself seemed to crack open. For several minutes. Through the crack, something vast and dark pressed against the edges of normal space. People across the Pacific Rim felt it. Millions of humans suddenly became aware of the void hunger trying to break through. Instead of panicking or fleeing, they did something that surprised even the scientists monitoring the situation. They got angry. From Tokyo to Los Angeles, from Sydney to Vancouver, humans responded to the cosmic threat with characteristic stubbornness. They couldn't see the dimensional crack directly, but they could feel something trying to invade their reality. Their collective response was simple and unanimous. Not in our backyard. The crack sealed itself within minutes, reinforced by millions of human minds refusing to accept defeat. Dr. Lisa Carter watched the readings from the monitoring station, amazed by what she was seeing. The barriers aren't weakening. They're getting stronger. Human consciousness, when focused and determined, is more powerful than when it operates unconsciously. But this was just the beginning. The void hunger had felt humanity's conscious resistance for the first time in millions of years. And it was preparing to test humanity's resolve like never before. The Deep Space Monitoring Station, Sentinel's Watch, had been humanity's furthest outpost for 20 years. Captain Amy Rodriguez had commanded the station for 5 of those years, watching empty space and recording data that most people found boring. Today, her job had become the most important in human history. "Captain, you need to see this," called out Lieutenant Mike Thompson from his monitoring station. His voice was tight with worry. Amy floated over to his workstation in the station's low gravity. The displays showed readings that made no sense. "What am I looking at, Mike?" "Gravitational waves coming from Earth," he replied. "But not normal. Ones. These are massive, and they're getting stronger every hour. It's like something the size of a planet is trying to push its way out of Earth's core." Amy felt her stomach clench. 3 weeks had passed since the Global Scientific Council had begun sharing the truth about humanity's guardian role with key personnel. She was one of the few people outside Earth who knew what humans were really protecting the galaxy from. "Send a priority message to Earth Command," she ordered. "Tell them the barriers are failing." On Earth, Dr. Lisa Carter was in an emergency, meeting with the Global Scientific Council when the message from Sentinel's Watch arrived. Director Helen Brooks read the report aloud, her voice getting quieter with each sentence. "Gravitational anomalies are spreading throughout the solar system," she said. "Reality distortions detected on Mars, the Moon, and 3 asteroid mining stations. And people everywhere are reporting the same vision." Lisa knew what vision she meant. Over the past week, billions of humans had experienced the same dream. They saw Earth surrounded by cracks in space itself, and something vast and hungry pressing against those cracks from the other side. Most people dismissed it as stress or mass hysteria, but Lisa knew better. "The void hunger is making its move," she said. It knows that humans are becoming aware, and it's testing our defenses while we're still learning how to consciously guard the barriers. Admiral Pete Collins brought up tactical displays showing military bases worldwide. Our forces are reporting equipment failures that follow no known patterns. Computers shut down and restart with programs they never had before. Weapons systems activate on their own, then target empty space as if they're fighting something. Invisible, Marcus Webb had been monitoring communications from across the galaxy. "It's not just happening here," he reported. "I'm receiving messages from alien colonies throughout this sector of the galaxy. They're all reporting the same thing: reality distortions, equipment failures, and nightmares about Earth." But the most disturbing report came from Mars researcher Ben Walsh. His voice crackled through the communication system with barely controlled. "Panic. The terraforming equipment has gone completely insane," he said. "All the protective patterns that were built into the systems are activating at once. The atmospheric processors are creating geometric shapes in the clouds. The water reclamation systems are pumping in patterns that match the symbols from the ancient ruins." Lisa realized what was happening. The unconscious protections that humans built into their technology are activating. Our machines are trying to reinforce the barriers automatically. On the lunar colony, Commander David Kim reported similar phenomena. The mining equipment is carving symbols into the rock face, symbols nobody programmed it to make. It's like the machines know something we don't. But it was the reports from Earth itself that worried Lisa the most. In major cities worldwide, people were experiencing shared hallucinations. They saw cracks in the sky above their heads. They felt something vast and malevolent pressing down on them from above. And they all had the same instinctive response. They looked up at the invisible cracks and told whatever was behind them to go away. 8 billion people are becoming conscious guardians all at once, Lisa explained to the emergency council. But the process is chaotic. Without training or preparation, human consciousness is acting like a massive, uncontrolled weapon. The crisis reached its peak when the barriers failed completely for the first time in human history. It happened over the Pacific Ocean at exactly 3:47 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Every monitoring station on Earth detected the same thing. A hole in reality itself opened above the Mariana Trench, and something began pushing through from the other side. Captain Amy Rodriguez watched the readings from Sentinels. Watch with growing horror. The gravitational distortion just spiked. "Off our charts," she reported to Earth. "Something massive is coming through." On Earth, people across half the planet could see it. The sky above the Pacific cracked like broken glass, revealing an endless darkness behind it. From that darkness, something that hurt to look at directly began to emerge. It was not a creature in any sense that human minds could understand. It was hunger given form, emptiness with intelligence. The space between spaces made manifest. The void hunger had finally broken through. For the first time in millions of years, the entity that had destroyed countless civilizations pressed into normal reality. Its presence caused electronics to fail across the Pacific Rim. Its very existence created gravitational waves that shook the planet. Most terrifying of all, it began to feed. Wherever its influence touched, matter simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed or consumed, but unmade, as if it had never existed at all. The Pacific Ocean began to drain into the void, billions of gallons of water vanishing into nothingness. But humanity did not flee. From Tokyo to Los Angeles, from Sydney to Vladivostok, 6 billion people looked up at the cosmic horror breaking into their reality and did what humans do best. They got stubborn. "No," said a shop owner in Tokyo, staring up at the crack in the sky. "Not today," said a mother in Los Angeles, holding her children close. "Get out of our dimension," said a fisherman in Sydney, shaking his fist at the sky. Across the Pacific Rim, Billions of human minds focused on a single thought. This thing did not belong in their reality, and they were going to make it leave. Dr. Lisa Carter watched the readings from monitoring stations worldwide. Something impossible was happening. The gravitational waves from the void hunger were weakening. The cracks in reality were beginning to close. Human consciousness is pushing it back, she said in amazement. Not unconsciously this time. People know exactly what they're fighting, and they're choosing to fight anyway. The entity that had terrified ancient civilizations across the galaxy found itself facing something it had never encountered before. A species that looked directly at cosmic horror and responded with anger instead of fear. Beings who saw the impossible and decided to make it possible to defeat. The void hunger pressed harder, trying to force its way completely into normal reality. But for every inch it gained, billions of human minds pushed back twice as hard. Battle for reality itself had begun, and humanity was not backing down. The crack in reality above the Pacific Ocean had been open for 6 hours. The void hunger pressed against the barriers of normal space like a massive weight trying to break through a glass ceiling. Every minute it remained, more of Earth's ocean vanished into nothingness. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in the emergency command center beneath Geneva, watching real-time feeds from around the world. The entity's presence was affecting everything. Electronics failed randomly. Gravity fluctuated in pockets across the globe. But most importantly, 8 billion humans now knew exactly what they were fighting. We need coordination, she said to Director Helen Brooks. Right now, human consciousness is fighting back instinctively. But we need everyone working together if we're going to close that breach permanently. Director Brooks nodded. We've been preparing for this possibility. Every major city has emergency broadcast capabilities. Every military base, every research station, every colony in the solar system is standing by. Admiral Pete Collins brought up communication networks showing connections to every inhabited place in human space. We can reach everyone at once. But what do we tell them? Lisa looked at the screens showing the cosmic horror trying to break into their reality. We tell them the truth, all of it. And then we ask them to help us save not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The global announcement went out on every frequency humans used for communication. Television, radio, internet, even the old emergency broadcasting systems. Captain Jake Morrison's voice spoke to the world from his position aboard the Endeavour, still orbiting Earth. People of Earth and human colonies everywhere, he began. What you're seeing in the sky is real. We are under attack by something from outside our dimension. For thousands of years, humanity has been the galaxy's guardian against this threat, without knowing it. Today, we choose to be guardians knowingly. Maria Santos, a spiritual guide from Mexico City, had volunteered to help coordinate the global response. Her voice joined Jake's on the worldwide broadcast. This is not about religion or politics or nations. This is about the human spirit refusing to surrender. Everyone who can hear this, focus your mind on one simple thought. This thing does not belong in our reality. Steve Mitchell, a communications expert from New York, had spent the past week setting up the coordination network. We're going to count down from 10, he announced. When we reach 0, every human being focuses on the same goal at the same time. We're going to close that breach through pure human stubbornness. Across Earth and throughout human space, people stopped what they were doing and listened. In the cities beneath the crack in the sky, millions of people looked up at the cosmic horror and prepared to fight it with nothing but their will to survive. Ben Walsh gathered his entire research team in the main habitat dome. Okay, people, he said. Time to show this thing what humans are made of. On the lunar colonies, Commander David Kim led thousands of workers outside to stare up at Earth. Our home planet is under attack, he told them. Let's remind it that we don't give up. Captain Amy Rodriguez coordinated with the crew of Sentinel's Watch and every other deep space station. All stations, prepare for synchronized consciousness projection. We're about to do something that no species in galactic history has ever attempted. The countdown began. 10. Steve Mitchell's voice echoed across the globe and throughout human space. In Tokyo, 1,000,000 people gathered in the streets, all looking up at the crack in reality above the Pacific. 9. The voice continued. In Los Angeles, families held hands on rooftops, parents explaining to their children that they were about to help save the world. 8. In Sydney, the entire population of the city stood on beaches, staring across the ocean at the dimensional breach. 7. On space stations and asteroid mines throughout the solar system, humans stopped their work and focused their minds on Earth. 6. In Moscow, London, Cairo, and every other major city, people united in a way that had never happened before in human history. 5. The void hunger sensed what was coming. Its assault on reality intensified, trying to break through completely before humanity could organize its defense. 4. Dr. Lisa Carter felt the entity's desperate push and smiled. Grimly, it was afraid. A cosmic horror that had destroyed civilizations across the galaxy was afraid of what humans might do. 3. Captain Jake Morrison watched from orbit as the cracks in reality spread wider. For a moment, it looked like the void hunger might succeed. 2. 8 billion human minds prepared to focus on a single goal, not just on Earth, but on Mars, the Moon, asteroid stations, and deep space outposts. Every human in the solar system united in one purpose. 1. The moment of unity was unlike anything in human history. Every person, regardless of language, culture, or belief, focused on the same thought. This thing does not belong here. 0. What happened next defied every law of physics that humans understood. 8 billion minds, working in perfect coordination, reached out and grabbed the cracks. In reality itself. Not with hands, but with pure human determination. The void hunger found itself facing something it had never encountered in millions of years of existence. A species that looked at the impossible and decided to make it possible. Beings who faced cosmic horror not with worship or fear, but with anger and the absolute refusal to be intimidated. The entity pushed harder, trying to force its way into normal space. But for every bit of pressure it applied, humanity pushed back twice as hard. It's working, Lisa said, watching the readings from monitoring stations worldwide. The gravitational distortions are weakening. Across the Pacific, the cracks in reality began to seal themselves. The darkness that had been pressing through retreated as billions of human minds shoved it back into the space between dimensions. But humanity didn't stop there. As the immediate threat receded, their focus shifted to making sure it could never return. Working together in perfect mental harmony, they began reinforcing the barriers between dimensions. The process was exhausting. Many people collapsed from the mental effort, but no one gave up. When one person weakened, 10 others stepped forward to take their place. The breach is closing, Captain Amy Rodriguez reported from Sentinel's Watch. Dimensional stability is returning to normal levels. On Earth, people watched as the cracks in the sky sealed themselves completely. The Pacific Ocean stopped draining into nothingness. The oppressive feeling of something vast and hungry pressing down on them faded away. But the most remarkable thing happened in the hours after the crisis ended. Instead of celebrating and then forgetting, humanity made a collective decision. They chose to remain conscious guardians. Around the world, governments established the Guardian Corps, volunteers who would train to consciously maintain the dimensional barriers. Schools began teaching children about humanity's role as protectors of reality. Scientists started developing technology specifically designed to monitor and strengthen the barriers between dimensions. Dr. Lisa Carter stood on the observation deck of the Endeavour, looking down at Earth as the planet slowly returned to normal. She had a message to transmit to the galaxy, one that would be very different from the warnings left by ancient civilizations. To all species in the galaxy, she began her broadcast. This is Dr. Lisa Carter speaking for humanity. We know what we guard. We know why it matters, and we're not going anywhere. She paused, watching Earth turn slowly beneath the ship. The ancient civilizations that warned you about us were right to be afraid, but they were afraid of the wrong thing. They feared what we protect. We want you to know what you can count. Humanity will stand guard, not because we have to, but because we choose to. The message spread throughout the galaxy over the following months. Some species responded with relief, others with disbelief. But every civilization that received it understood one thing clearly. Humanity had looked cosmic horror in the eye and told it to get lost, and they were prepared to do it again whenever necessary. The guardians of Earth were no longer unconscious protectors. They were humanity, fully aware of their cosmic responsibility and absolutely determined to keep the galaxy safe.